morning everybody. So here we are back in the bar, and today we've got a few little bits and bobs to be clearing up. This will all come together as part of the next video. So what have we got? Right, I have here a list of parts for the Honda. First list of parts for the CB500T. We have an overhaul kit for our front master cylinder. We have a seal and a new piston just in case for the caliper. I'm hoping that will be enough to get the front brake working. Obviously we could replace the hard steel line, and we could replace the rubber hose, which, you know, 50 years old, it ain't going to be in that good a condition. But let's get the brakes working, and we'll see where we go from there. So that's one job we've got. I also want to kick myself. When I got the bike and put it in my garage, I smashed the rear light, which is a real shame because it was an original Honda light unit. So what I've done is I have bought a cheap, horrible, nasty Chinese replacement, and I'm hoping this lens will fit on that back cover, because that is horrible. It's really tacky. So that's another little job to do. So I said the first of the parts. The other thing I've ordered is a gasket set for the carburettors. We have said carburettors off the bike, and another thing we will start to do today is strip the carburettors down. When I come in here tomorrow, if I remember, Mark, try and remember, I will bring Mark's sonic cleaner and we'll get those carbs, you know, well and truly cleaned up. So that's it, a few bits for the Honda. Also tomorrow, exhaust on the truck. Bit of a teaser for you there. Yeah, so let's crack on. Right, so one screw left. Let's try and get that out. Okay, let's grab the replacement and see how that looks. And if this doesn't fit well in the old holder, I'll just bite the bullet and buy a second-hand one. Let's have a look. Well, it's not a brilliant fit, but it might be good enough just to get the job done. I don't think the screws are long enough. Yeah, it's a bit dubious fit-wise, but to be quite honest, that's better than the smashed to pieces one. Okay, well, it's better than nothing. Okay, so these are the two carburettors, and they are a bit crusty. And one of the problems we've got is Let's just check this one, if I get my finger in there. So what you've got in this carburetor, underneath this cap, you've got a big piston. Comes down to a smaller piston, and then you've got your needle. So the idea is you put vacuum on the top, that lifts the piston up, which allows more air in, which then brings a needle up out of the main jet, allowing more fuel to match the air. The piston's not moving, it's seized, and you know, I'm not surprised, the carbs have sat for quite a long time and not done anything. So we should be able to take this top off. Now some of these, when you see a big top like this, some of these have a rubber diaphragm in. I believe these ones don't. Now that makes it a lot easier for me, because if it had a rubber diaphragm in, chances are the diaphragm would be ruined, and I'd have to get a replacement, and they're not cheap. But because this one just relies on close tolerance between the top and the piston, I believe it does, it should be just a case of clean it up, polish it up, and away we go. The pipe's just falling out. So 2 screws holding this cap on. And this is going to tell me a lot about the condition, because as I say, I think I drained the fuel out of the carbs, and I've got a feeling when I go into the bottom where the fuel would sit, it's going to be pretty clean. But there you go. So you can see here, that's the needle, slightly tapered. This is the piston, and there you go, whole lot can come apart. And as I say, the way this works is by causing a vacuum in that chamber to lift that up. So when you open the throttle itself, is that the throttle? Yeah, this throttle. So on your twist grip, you open that up, that causes a vacuum, and the only seal you have is that rubber seal, which actually is really good condition for its age. So that's good. So the next thing we need to do then is have a look in this float bowl. So let's push that forward. Stinks awful, but that is clean. Smells of ether. This is surprisingly clean. So what have we got here? Main jet, slow runner jet, I would imagine. We've got a float, and then under this float we've got a needle assembly. So I hold it like that. The float will sit in the float chamber. As fuel enters, the float rises, and as it rises, it shuts off incoming fuel. So that's how it maintains the correct level. And these jets actually sit into the fuel, and when you open the throttle, it gets sucked up there. In here, I believe that's the throttle pump. So when you open up the throttle, it squirts a little bit of extra fuel in. This is our choke for a cold day. The 2 chokes are connected together. And all in all, this is a really, really, really clean carburetor. I'm going to put those bits together. So what we could do, we could actually take the jets out and give this whole lot clean with some brake cleaner, pretty much the same as carb cleaner, and probably put these back on and put some fuel to them, and they'll run. I've no hesitation in thinking that this couldn't run in this condition. A little bit grizzly, but nothing too bad. Now, one other thing to watch out for. I don't know if you can clearly see it, but there's a marking on that float, and there is a corresponding black mark in this bowl. And what that means is this has been dry, and with vibration it's been wearing. So it may be that that could have a little hole in. If that goes too far, it could perforate through, and then the float would not float, and that would be a bad thing for us. I can't actually move that one up, so let's get the top off and free it off. As I say, I'm very surprised how good the condition of these carbs are. And a lot of that just comes down to the simple fact, if you're going to store a motorcycle for any length of time, fire it up, shut the fuel off, and run the fuel out of it. If it's one of those with a vacuum fuel tap on it, so as soon as you start the bike, causes a vacuum, opens the tap, then the best thing to do is drain all the fuel out of the bike. Drain it out of the tank, and again, run the thing dry. So this one's a little bit tighter in there. Oh. So what that's telling me is, as I'm pushing this down, I'm fighting vacuum. So there should be like a little hole in there. Oh, that's really tight. That's all on vacuum. There. Nice. So holes are there. Got like a little brass sleeve in there. Again, no biggie at all. Yeah, so that's first look inside the carburetors, and very, very promising. I'm happy. Okay, so a bit of a recap. Unfortunately, didn't realise I didn't have the camera on. So, what we're doing. Honda front brake comes apart in two halves. There's a thing in the middle that allows it all to pivot. That's the back half with our pad in. And unfortunately on the front half, the pad was all seized in. You can see what kind of grotty condition that was. So that sat in there like that. So what I had to do is I had to chip off all of the brake lining material, which I am very much presuming is asbestos, so not the healthiest stuff. I then had to drill a hole. I did kind of hope on some of these pads, there's holes all the way through where the asbestos material would have bonded, but these have just got dimples, so I had to drill a hole, tap it out to M8, get it in the vise and gently tap around the face of the caliper to draw that out. So that's free now. Next thing, piston, really, really well in there. So it is moving, because once I've drilled the hole through the backer, I put a bolt in loosely, used the vise to push the piston back a little bit, just in case I needed some more clearance. So I know the piston's moving, it's just got to come out. So some time ago, had exactly this problem. I made myself this little device, which I wish I hadn't have done that now. It is an old master cylinder off of whatever bike it was, and I've done that up quite well as well, of course. So what this allows me to do is I can, I'm gonna mess with you, boy. I can attach a caliper to it. And hopefully I won't need to bleed it off, but if I do bleed it off, and I can use hydraulic power to free that up. So, take a couple of washers. And this is the original bolt, so I might as well use that. Not going to be that simple. Okay, so the reason it's not going to be that simple is because this had a hard line on it. So if I put the hard line back on, this all makes it a little bit more tricky because now I've got to fill the whole system with fluid, but that's what it's going to take to get it out. That's a 12. I'm guessing. Good guess. Messy job at the best of times, but right, in my handy brake fluid container thingy. Right, I'm starting to feel some pressure.
Come in.
And I'm getting stuff coming out of the master, so it's starting to feed through a bit. That's good. I knew it wasn't going to be that easy. Millimeters, and it's a 9, or is it a 10? See, I'm being lazy, I don't want to have to bleed it properly. And we've got a puppy. Does Mummy know you're in here? Surprising, isn't it? Sometimes it takes longer to get your time-saving devices working, but there really isn't an alternative to it in this case. You might as well just suck it up, do the job properly. Yeah, that'll do, right there. Really getting a very good seal on there. Let's see if I can find the adapter. Should be a bit stupid, but well, that's 150 psi, and that piston doesn't look to be moving much. Whoa, but it has cleared a blockage. Right, I think we're back in business. Yep, that's definitely working now. So we should, if I can remember where I've put the bleed nipple, be able to bleed this off properly. There's definitely something in there blocking it. Small spanner. Right, let's just try it on its own. Piston's moving. Okay, so I'm going to take it out of the hoist, and then you guys can see it as well. It's only moving slowly. It is coming out. Nearly out by now. That's it. So that's how you get a seized piston out of a caliper. Thank you, thank you.